Hello everyone. Today I'm going to discuss about acquisition of business, why it is important, what are the procedures, what is impact, and how businesses they go for acquisition. What are the differences between acquisition turnover and what are the different types of acquisition. But before that, let us understand what is acquisition. Acquisition means one business buying another business, and the business which is buying another business has a stake more than 50%. Buying company is also known as acquiring company, and the acquiring company which they are buying another company, that company is known as target company. So acquiring company purchases the target company's stock and other assets so that the acquiring company can take full-fledged decisions on the target company. But the question is, why go for an acquisition? There are a lot more reasons, as you can see in the screen. Economies of scale. So by increasing and by expanding the business, the businesses can achieve economies of scale in production. So when they are producing in large scale, the cost will automatically decrease. In order to increase the market share, so by going for an acquisition, a business can increase the market capitalization or even the market share. Say for example, you can think, say there are two market A and market B. Now one business is operating only in market A before acquisition, but after acquisition that business can operate in market B also. So now they can have a market share of both market A and market B. By doing this, the share capitalization will also increase. And increased synergy. In management, it is said that if proper talent resources will come together, then 2 plus 2 will not be 4 but it will be 5, which means the productivity which will be much more than the expenses which was incurred in acquisition. So for new offerings also, and for the good brand names, so many business they come into a contract of acquisition because they want to give new things in the market, new products in the market, which will obviously increase the brand name, or already the target company might be having a very good brand. So after acquisition, the brand will be shared by the buying company also. And there are other intangible assets like copyrights, patents. Due to acquisition, they will be in hold of these intangible assets also. And normally, say for example, India has a huge labor force. So Indian company and maybe Japanese company may acquire and go for a business, go for an acquisition, because Indian company will share capital from the Japanese government or Japanese company, and Japanese government or company will get cheap labor force from India. And obviously customer base. So in order to increase the customer base, companies they go for acquisition, also for cutting competitions and the sharing of technology. And there are other reasons also why they go for acquisition, but these are some of the highlights which you can see in the screen. And normally we come across two terms, one is acquisition, another is takeover. So what actually is the difference? There is a very slight difference between the word meaning of acquisition and a takeover, but if you see, there is a slight difference in connotation only. That is, takeover suggests that the company is resisting. When the target company is resisting, do not want to go for acquisition, but if there is some kind of force from the acquiring or buying company, then that is known as takeover. But if there is a willingness from both the companies, that is known as acquisition. So acquisition is more kind of a friendly contract between the two companies. And as I told you, there are two types of acquisition: friendly and hostile. In friendly acquisition, the target company has no issues, but if a target company does not want to be acquired, then that is known as hostile acquisition. This normally happens. So we have come across many news and headlines also that Chinese companies were slowly buying the shares of Indian banks in order to acquire the banks. So Indian banks, this happens. And but what happens is when buying or acquiring companies, they buy the target companies, the buying company or acquiring company pay more value than whatever the value of the shares is in the market right now. So most of the time the acquiring company pays more money to the target company. So normally what happens is, due to this reason, it is said that it's written in many of the textbooks also that when acquiring company wants to acquire the target company, the share price of the acquiring company decreases, and the share price of target company normally increases. Because why this is happening is because in the short run, the acquiring company is paying more price, more value, giving more value to the shares than the normal market value. So let us see whether it happens or not. As you can see, Axis Bank had acquired free recharge for rupees 385 crore, and this was in the month of you can see July 27, 2017. So before this news came up, the share price of Axis Bank was increasing. You can see the date. So till 26th July, the share price had a increasing trend, and as soon as the news came on the 27th, you can see the share price of Axis Bank started moving down. So out here, Axis Bank is an acquiring company and Free Recharge is a target company. So we can see that the share price of Axis Bank was increasing before the news came, but started decreasing after the news came. But we need to do some research whether this happens or not to the other companies also. This is one screenshot I have shown to you to give an example. So let us see what are the other consequences of this acquisition. So why the share price of the acquiring company is going down is because there are a number of reasons, as I've told you. One is two different cultures are coming together, and for some time it will take time to settle. And because there are many some kind of managerial works and more time required, there will be loss of productivity. And maybe sometimes happens that the target company has more debt, and that debt will be purchased by the acquiring company. So now acquiring company might have additional debt or additional expenditure. So accounting also might be weak of the acquiring company because of the weak financial position of a company. So there are many reasons why the share price of acquiring company goes down for a short period of time. There are a number of reasons. So it becomes very much important for the acquiring company to thoroughly check the target company, whether it will be profitable or whether it won't be profitable. There are many cases where there are failed acquisition. So the importance of this topic is to understand acquisition, why it happens, and what is impact on its share price. So what the acquiring company needs to do before they go for an acquisition. There are many examples also, as you can see. In April 2017, Indian e-commerce giant Flipkart had acquired the Indian wing of eBay. So, why Flipkart had acquired Indian wing of eBay was because Flipkart didn't had any global presence. By doing so, Flipkart was going to have a global presence, and these acquisitions will, bluster the cross-border trade, which will even help Flipkart to combat Amazon's onslaught or competition. So, in order to um, deduct expenses also in cross-border transactions, and to fight the competitions, companies normally they go for acquisition. Likewise, free recharge was acquired by Axis Bank because of its technology, and it was a deal of nearly $60 million. Likewise, as you know that Vodafone had acquired Idea, and as you can see, this happened because Reliance Jio had already come into a competition, and this due to this reason, in order to curb the competition, this acquisition, why it happened was, you can see Vodafone owned the major stake in the combined entity with 45.1% stake. In order to fight against Bharti Airtel and Reliance Jio, uh, the main motive of this acquisition was to curb the competitions which was created by Bharti Airtel and Reliance Jio. So you can see Google acquired 4-month old startup for an undisclosed amount in June 2017. Company joined next billion users team at Google with its CEO. So the company's name was Halley Labs, which was joined by Google. Likewise, Airtel, you can see Airtel also, there was a merger between the Airtel and the Telenor also. Now it becomes very much important to see the profit and loss prior to the acquisition process, and also profit and loss after the incorporation or acquisition, because sometimes what happens is that the acquisitions process might be profitable, sometimes the acquisition process might not be profitable, and it becomes very much important to check to understand the process. So in the next video I'll be explaining how to calculate profit or loss prior to acquisition and profit or loss post acquisition or incorporations. Till time, if you have any doubts, you can write to me. Stay safe and go through the video properly so that it can be understood. Next video I'll come up with more calculations, and this is a base video for the acquisition. If you want to understand, you can just go through it twice or thrice. So see you soon.